Red flags that someone wasn't raised right. Eye-opening signs you can't ignore.
The concept of not flushing in a public place is crazy to me. Like, what happened in that person's life for them to feel that's appropriate?
Lack of personal accountability. They can never admit wrongdoing on their part. It's always someone else's fault. Yes, totally. And it's often because immature parents don't realize they should model this behavior by apologizing to their children when they, parent, do something wrong. When you don't respect your kids, they can become disrespectful dicks.
When my oldest was 2 to 3, I apologized to him about something. I don't remember what now, in public. What I do remember is the awful woman I walked away from who was scolding me about how parents should never give away their power by apologizing to children. Now, teachers and myself always believe my kid. Why? Because he always owns up to stuff and apologizes.
They don't take responsibility for their actions.
Worse, they want you to take responsibility for their actions.
This is so annoying, and when you say no, that means you are rude.
You really don't care about me, do you? Yes. And then comes some emotional temper tantrum, anger, crying, and/or they start gaslighting.
I never said that. I think you owe me an apology.
How they treat animals and people without power.
I remember hearing as a kid about a Native American belief that's really stuck with me. After you die and as you're entering the afterlife, you must cross a bridge. This bridge is filled with every animal you had a personal encounter with in your lifetime, and together as a whole, they decide your fate. Whether or not you can cross the bridge to heaven. This was the first and only time I've heard of your fate being decided by animals. Great, there's no way those mosquitoes are going to forgive me. It's okay. They are collectively sent to hell by the entire animal kingdom.
None of the other animals like him either. Their vote doesn't count.
Don't worry. That spider you once saved instead of squashing will just eat them all. Not respecting personal boundaries. If you're wondering why someone has these sorts of issues, take a look at their parents.
Dear God, I used to be friends with a guy who was like this. I made the mistake of talking him through some difficult things, and he took that to mean that I wanted him present 24/7. He'd see that I was hanging out with somebody else, and then text me, bugging me to ditch that person and hang with him instead, because he was sad and lonely. I understand not wanting to be sad and lonely, but you can't make me ditch all my other friendships to fix that.
I had a friend who got creepy clingy like that. It got to the point that he followed my Snap Map location to where I was with some friends. They didn't know each other, and demanding I hang out with him instead.
Gross. Why not block your location? I've never understood why that feature exists in the first place.
They litter. If you throw your shit on the floor, then you have 1, no respect, and 2, you're a tramp. Enjoyed the video? Hit that subscribe button and join our amazing community. Your support means the world to us and keeps the content coming. Thanks for being awesome. We went for a trail walk that leads out toward a dam and some rock formations with mini waterfalls. Broken beer glass was strolled along the entire trail. An hour-long walk, guys. And the amount of garbage at the falls was honestly mind-blowing. Like someone had brought 10 or so full bags and just busted them open all over the place. It's one of few natural areas in that city, and it just sucks so much that people care so little. It doesn't take much effort to just not destroy a nice thing with your litter.
Came here to say this. Few people really understand, I think, the importance of an apology and the right way to apologize. Recent story, I called my doctors and left a request to have a prescription refilled on their voicemail they have for just that purpose. 3 days later, I call the pharmacy to see if that prescription is available. They tell me they have not gotten it yet. I call the doctor's office and speak to the receptionist who puts me through to the nurse. The nurse explains that she made a mistake and forwarded my request to the doctor that was not in the office that week. It was a dumb mistake, and that she would get the PA to do it right away. I was so impressed that she owned her mistake. She did not have to. She could have explained simply that here had been a mix-up, but she did not. She took full responsibility. Now, this was not a serious issue, but I was impressed anyway. Someone that does things to intentionally hurt another person's feelings after they've expressed that. That certain thing hurts their feelings.
Person 1. I get angry if someone touches my hair. Person 2. Touches it. Haha, are you angry?
Person 1 smacks person 2 in the face. Person 2, what did I do? What's your problem?
You give them a lift and they leave rubbish in your car. I forgot my candies and trash in a carpool 6 years ago, and I still remember it. The driver rushed us out because he made a mistake, to be fair, but my fucking brain won't forget it.
Hey, free candy? Dowdy-minded.
This kind of stunned me as a driver for Lyft and Uber. I'd never dream of leaving my trash in a cab or someone else's car. I had people eat peanuts in my car and just leave a bunch of the shell everywhere. I noticed only later that they made a mess.
I picked up a hitchhiker once. I felt bad because it was raining, so I picked her up. She had to sit in the back because I'd just gotten some groceries and had stuff in the passenger seat, trying to be quick to get her out of the rain. Made small talk, seemed nice. I noticed when I got home my really nice hoodie that had been draped over the back of the passenger seat was gone. I guess she needed it more than me, but I'll never pick up another hitchhiker again.
Who are the guys who spit out their chewing gum into urinals? I see this all the time at work, and I work in a high-end corporate place. Do they think it dissolves and goes down the pipe? The janitor has to pick that out. I had a guy shit on the floor in the bathroom at my work, then apologize because I was working the shift, not my coworker he hated. People are fucking weird, dude. I worked at a truck stop with 3 bathrooms, a men's, a women's, and a unisex single one in the trucker lounge. The stall in the men's was out of service because people don't understand what a reasonable amount of toilet paper is. Guy comes in, truck bathroom is occupied, goes to men's, stall out of service. Do you, A, wait for the trucker room, B, just go to the women's, which is also just a single room and isn't used much, C, shit in the urinal, then come out and complain that I should lose my job because the stall is out of order? How they act as a boss when their employee messes up. Yelling and belittling shouldn't be your first option. This was what made me respect the absolute hell out of my manager. I made a mistake on a job a while back, like a big fuck-up that cost us a large sum of money. I was fully expecting to get chewed out and you fuck up again, you're out the door, because that's how previous managers had treated us. It's no wonder we had a horrific management and employee turnover rate for years. But no, he came over to the car I was working on, looked at what happened, figured out how the mistake was made, and we talked about it for a couple minutes. I was pretty upset about it because I'm usually not the type of tech who is negligent and makes mistakes. So when I do, it profoundly bothers me. He saw that. He listened to what I said, and he went through the process of getting replacement parts ordered for what I messed up. The next morning he came to me again and said, "You know, I was thinking about you last night after I got home and thinking of what you could do to prevent this mistake from happening again in the future." Gave me a few suggestions for the future and closed the conversation with a pat on the shoulder and "We won't need to have this conversation again, brother. I trust you." It was the most meaningful conversation I have ever had with a manager. I got the sense that he really wants to see his employees succeed and grow. It gave me confidence in a moment in which I had none left.
This is how you be a leader, not a boss. A leader lends a helping hand and treats you like an equal. A boss treats you like a replaceable piece of meat. If they make messes in public areas and just wander off, leaving trash in the theater, not flushing, leaving the cart in a parking space, edit, forgot the theater thing is the norm in Britain. I meant in general, leaving a mess where it's not supposed to be. Working in a theater, I can tell you a good number of people treat the place as their personal dumping ground. And that's apart from the people who make big messes and just skedaddle. I'm talking people who spill their XXL soda and just walk out. I've had the pleasure of walking into a theater and finding 3 separate pools of vomit. Like WTF people, honestly.
How they treat people from whom they have nothing to gain.
Retail will tell you about 75% of people exhibit this sign.
I worked in retail. It's more like 20% in my experience. But you remember those more on a bad day.
I'd say 10% are assholes 24/7, and 70% are one bad day away from screaming at some random teenager whenever they feel inconvenienced and never feeling guilty about it.
My dad is in that 70% for sure. He once yelled at a random guy and told him to tell his wife not to speak to him because she asked him to calm down after yelling at the poor Chinese woman at Panda Express. I will never go into that building with him, edit. Just remembered another time one of his fast food orders got very slightly messed up, and after getting home and taking everything out, he said, "I ought to go back and tell them how worthless they are." Pretty cool guy.
The word no just means throw a fit and be as obnoxious as you can be until you get your way. No does not mean that rules are rules or someone's job might be on the line. They're the important one, not anyone else.
I'm an overnight, 10 p.m., 6 a.m. manager in fast food. After midnight, our menu changes slightly so that we don't do certain items, and the loose change menu isn't in effect. All of this is in the ads for such items, mind you. But when I tell someone, "Sorry man, can't do that for that price at this time," because the register automatically switches over at midnight, there's literally nothing I can do. People have a fucking fit. I've had people break windows, pull out a metal bat from passenger seat and threaten me. People report me, spit at me. Fucking children, all of them. We also close the store and go drive-through only after 11 p.m. because it's just me and one other guy and we can't keep an eye on the whole store by ourselves. We also aren't allowed to accept people walking up to the window because of our insurance. It's much easier for them to reach us and the register, etc. The amount of times I say no to people and they get angry and threaten me, like, you going crazy is exactly the reason we don't accept walkers. Even had 2 dudes try read my name badge, ask when I finish and what my address was. People get so riled over a bloody Big Mac. Thank you for your attention, and remember, keep being awesome and curious. See you next time. P.S. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks.